told y'all I was triggered. I'm gonna make Homeland Security fucking work for it tonight. So this was not too long ago, but because I'm talking about defund Fermilab over here, they're probably going to be fine. I don't know what they're making. But again, it's a great research facility. I can do that in paper trade to say we need to prove. No offense, Fermilab, you guys are winning. Pull out. Get the hell out of there. Obviously, we have bigger fish to fry, seeing that the comprehensive science on what the hell it is we do over there is this, by any other standard. You know, we can compensate, right? Real easy in the FMAs here to be like, okay, that's a magnetic housing of the shielding of the amp limits for what I'm putting into this. Be like, all right, whatever. He's got a tattoo. Big ass fucking deal. Doesn't stop them from being a cop. Didn't make them a murderer because murderers have it on there. We can tell by science and what element it is. You can tell. They like to hide and misbehave. And we'll find out.
Alright, they're still on the far left.
Yeah, they're doing West Hills exit shutdown. Charlie 2, we're coming up on heavy traffic at Cedar Bluff. He's still continuing eastbound.
This is what happens in that squad car. You have to know this verbatim if you want to be in here and drive.
Still behind LT.
That's the connection. See how he's not missing any prime sets? I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent yet. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter yet. We haven't gotten to the ramp up of filing this thing up to speed to get to the collisions yet. We're getting there. First part set. Now we're in the chase here, setting up the feeds and speeds on the buttons. Remember, it costs trillions of dollars for a gram of antimatter. Now, I'm not saying that they pump out a gram every day, but you have to think about the costs on what this stuff is, because again, this stuff is from lab, and it drives me crazy because literally I know their science well enough to say this Hyperloop or this railgun is EM fields that take a different form of the projectile and deal with the projectile
yeah, I didn't know if we
physics.
were gonna.
There's arc, there's velocity, momentum, there's inertia, there's all kinds of things that kind of come with this, but at all points in time, there's 0 and 1s to people. You could train somebody this. This is not impossible. You know, you could set somebody in here and try to have this conversation with somebody you're about to pull over, but in this form, they would be in a different resonant frequency to the orders of enriching an element by orders. I mean, you just can't jump states inside here and say, well, you were here. I often have that problem with the prison system with the Pavlovian skid-steered Stockholm syndrome problem. What do I need? Well, out here you can do whatever you want. You can learn what you want. You can learn at your own pace. You can choose to fail. You can choose to say, hey, I don't need that subject matter to short of school, because those would be grades, right? You're not 18 yet. You're not. We have all done that. That is what that is. If you do it by the numbers, you will lose this. Inside of here, though, like I said, now we have the situation of 2 to 1 with 1 in the back, and I have to trust them over time not to gain insight inside here. To a certain degree, it can make them very good criminals, very good criminals. The differential inside of there is maybe I want to bait that out. You know, this is going to be a pretty limited set inside of what it does to where you could go with the information realistically, and it's going to pull you out pretty strong about that until the numbers start to tip about how many students, moving bodies in this case, for how far that'll go. You could start a militia, you could start an army, and if it didn't go here, it most likely will. But with that being said, that we don't need everybody to be a cop. Eventually that would mask this out. No offense. And I wish we could have all the security forces running the way they do. You call the cops. That's about where the limited ability of my tech for what Uncle Sam provided for me gets me. And I have to adjust accordingly to the FMA trajectories on that stuff, the windage, the magnetic housing inside here, the changing of those states on a curvature. This is not a straight line. We don't know that yet. This is a pull over. Don't pull over. They haven't stopped yet. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's totally, absolutely what those things are, but doesn't it? I mean, I want to be fair. Let's look at that when we get there. There's a lot of people out there. And I say this because I want somebody to be like, I hope that they could use something like this as the example while explaining this to the people in the clink. Like, if I took the time, instead of letting you watch CNBC talk about what this is, and we actually go through protocol detail inside of the jail about what this is, you're going to benefit. You may not benefit exactly what the kind of shit that I want you to know about the cops, but you would know stuff about, hey, you got to have, your boss has got to do this to you. If you're the boss, you got to do this. You got to make sure that this stuff's in line inside of here, because otherwise this thing's going to fall apart. And we need that. It was like, well, we don't need that. No, it's like, you did need that. Some motherfuckers like, oh, we don't need, I need cops in Hancock. Because it's a small town, and we actually have a better system. It's just that you have to have that balance right. You have to have the ratios right. You have to have the cost lines on that right. Guess what this guy's not going to be doing right now? Oh, no, go ahead, officer. You're on detail. Just start writing that down.
Charlie 2, we're still continuing 40 East class paper mill. K912, if you could, you just come on.
You know, if we could sit this in the clink in some of those places when I was sitting in there, instead of just watching CNBC, not having a damn educational book. You know how many educational books they had in jail? One. It was called How to Hack Your Education. Everything else was spaghetti westerns and, you know, just stupid Time magazines that were from 5 years ago. And just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. You got to obviously educate those people, even if they're educated. But clearly, unless the law was wrong, and even in which case, I'm glad we could teach you something. I'm glad this is something that's more beneficial than just you wasting time and energy and having everybody else pay for you when you potentially could have been working out there. We could work on the books. I could run a mechanic set to you. I could ask you a question. It's like, so what did you used to do? You know, you telling me a farmer? Great. There's all kinds of matrices that we could begin to develop inside here. You were a landscaper, or you're a teacher. Man, you know, there are so many good ways that I could help you out here that would actually be worth you to get out a little early on the sentence. And motivated. Not just some common bar that's what that is, not participate in, not acting part of the community, even though you might be locked up. You have to understand, look, you can fight, but you ain't making it out of this building. You have to use the channels and electricity and, you know, Faraday's law and all this other stuff the way you guys got to do it. And we don't have a syllabus for this stuff. We don't have a way to control those electrons in the pod. We don't have any of that stuff. So why would you defund the police when the police weren't the problem here necessarily? It's certainly the system over there for where you're putting them is. It's called the impossible chess problem, Warden. There's more of them than there are you. They have weapons in terms of what the timelines are of offense and pepper spray and everything else. So when I'm talking to the prisoner here, Warden, you know, my new senator, when I'm trying to get you to figure out that math, come on.